This is the G&G STP45 MK2, which despite the name is more or less internally identical to the very popular STP45, which left a great impression with its unique but reliable externally adjustable hop-up system and very nice CO2 blowback. This MK2 is more of a cosmetic shift, offering a different look and a couple unique design elements. Compared side by side with the standard STP45, we can see there is quite a bit different with a different slide, barrel, mid-frame, and grip. The slide has a slimmer look, especially when viewed from the top, yet the grip is definitely a bit chunkier, albeit a bit less blocky and a little more ergonomic, and features a unique magwell as well. If you've always found high kappa grips a little squared off, this one offers a rounder profile that might be more comfortable in your hands. If you thought this slide looks vaguely familiar, this might be why. Here it is next to an M17 with the X-Carry slide. You can see a clear similarity, particularly with the downward sloping line towards the front of the slide and the similar cutouts at the front. Of course, it's not a bad thing to look like another popular design. This might be perfect if you like the X-Carry look, but overall prefer the trigger and performance of a high kappa design. In the hands, the grip shape feels pretty similar to the M17 grip as well. Also similar is the triangular shaped mag release, which I actually quite like on the M17. Now, it doesn't look especially comfortable, but it actually matches the side of your thumb pretty well, and to me actually does feel a bit better than the standard circle shaped release. Taking a look at the magwell, it's a metal unit that is removable if you choose. It's got a pretty aggressive look, and testing it out does seem to help guide the mag into place. Worth noting that it does make the mag insert sound a little bit more metallic, which I quite enjoy, as opposed to the duller, more plastic sound. I really like that they chose to go with a 14mm counterclockwise threaded barrel from the factory, as not too many high kappas or even pistols in general come with them out of the box, especially considering how many people want to run a pistol tracer like this G&G MF106T. Now, I'm not going to specifically suggest aiming only using tracer BBs instead of your actual sights, but you know, it works, people do it, and having that option is always nice. Plus, I think it's a pretty nice look on this gun. Taking a closer look at the slide, I think G&G did a great job with the finish, with a uniform matte black and very clean milling work on this metal slide. I particularly like the sharp slide serrations that are angled to catch your fingers nicely. Identical cuts up front as well. Even just sliding your fingers on one side of the slide is enough to rack back the slide. It also highlights just how smooth the slide travel is. It feels really nice and has a great sound too. You can also rack it using the iron sight up top, but I would avoid putting too much regular force on that rear sight. Looking at some smaller differences compared to the standard STP45, they removed the dummy extractor housing from the back of the slide, giving you a smoother look. And I like that attention to detail because the dummy extractor on the MK2 is actually an external extractor, unlike the standard STP45's internal extractor, so missing that circle at the back is actually a realistic touch. The mid-frame rail is quite a bit different to the standard STP45, extending all the way to the front of the slide and featuring additional fluting detail that I think is a nice look. It also has more rail cutouts at the bottom, which I think is great for mounting different shaped lights over having just one fixed position. There's a little finger flare at the top of the trigger guard that makes a little mini thumb rest. On the other side, it makes a little shelf for your trigger finger to sit on as well, or vice versa if you're a lefty. It's pretty comfy and I like the idea, but because it's molded one piece with the grip, it's not removable, and it does slightly get in the way of your trigger finger, especially if you're not used to it. The slide release is extended a little outwards compared to a standard one and feels great to use without being so large as to get in the way. Additionally, it extends to the other side using a two-piece design, so you get a nice ambidextrous slide catch, which is certainly not too common on high kappas. It's worth noting that the slide catch does not automatically drop down when pulling the slide back, so you will need to manually activate the slide catch to drop the slide. Looking at the trigger, it's a mostly flat design with a slight curve at the top compared to the standard fully curved trigger. About 1mm of take up until the wall, 1mm of creep, and a nice smooth break ending with almost zero overtravel, with that overtravel screw set nice from the factory. Reset is where the wall began, with a pretty distinct and audible click. Very smooth, and I'd say one of the better stock high kappa triggers I've felt. Great job, G&G. Blowback is heavy and sharp, just like the standard STP45. Cyclic rate is nice and snappy, and the trigger definitely doesn't hold it back with nice easy double taps. A joy to shoot, and I think G&G did a pretty great job with the STP45 series. If you can make it into the showroom, definitely check out the STP45 for yourself. It might not be a classic Toku Marui, and aftermarket parts fitment is a little hit and miss, but as its own gun, I wouldn't hesitate to recommend the STP45 series. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.